having been blessed to coach and teach here for 28 years, I've gotten to meet some pretty amazing student athletes. And today you're going to hear from one of those, Julie Bride. She was one of my top honors English students, despite her heavy leaning towards science. You know, I think she was studying rocket science in the CAP program, and she's at Missouri S&T right now. She also played soccer for us and part of 2 state championships, with her 3rd leading scorer, and scored a goal in the state finals her senior year. In fact, senior year I got to accompany her to Arrowhead Stadium, where some of our kids will be going here tomorrow, when she was won the Lynn Dawson High School Athlete Award. And also I got to go to Haiti with her, with a group of soccer students as we did a mission trip. But more importantly, I got to know her as a young woman who would stand up for life, and a courageous woman who has done things that most of us would not do. So I'm very happy to introduce to you Julie Bride, 2013 graduate of St. Thomas Aquinas.
Introduction, my name is Julie Bride, and I graduated high school here in 2013 and played on the soccer team. I currently go to school at the Missouri University of Science and Technology. I play Division II soccer and am pursuing a degree in both aerospace engineering and mathematics with an emphasis in actuarial science. I have been blessed with the opportunity to speak to you all today after Easter Mass. As fellow Catholics, we all know and believe that Easter is the ultimate feast day that proclaims the victory of life. On this day, Jesus defeated death in all of its forms, including abortion. And that's why I'm speaking to you today, not to tell you a story of death and regret, but a story of the victory of life. Towards the end of my senior year, I found out I was pregnant. I felt like my life had come to an end, or so I thought at the time. Now, in this situation, I had 3 choices. The first option was to have an abortion. I knew I could not live with myself knowing I had killed my first child. My faith had taught me that life begins at conception. Who am I to stand up to God and deny one of his precious creatures the gift of life? No question about it, that choice was immediately ruled out. The other 2 options left are both pro-life. The first one being to keep the baby, and then the less chosen path, adoption. We don't hear much about the third choice, however, that's the one that I decided on. I wanted my child to grow up with a mother and father, which I could not promise. I wanted my child to have the best opportunities in life, which I didn't have the money or the experience. But most importantly, I wanted my child to grow up knowing that I loved him. And that's why I chose adoption. Now, this decision was made quite quickly after I found out I was pregnant. At this point, I had told nobody except my mom, and it actually stayed that way until after graduation. I knew the news would devastate my father and brother, seeing how it already disappointed my mother. I already felt so alone at the time that I didn't want to momentarily lose the love and support from my family to finish up my last season of high school soccer and graduation. So I pretended as if everything was normal. I played the whole season of soccer, even when I was up to 3 months pregnant, and no one suspected anything. So no one suspected anything. I even got cleared by my doctor to go to Haiti for a mission trip in the summer that the soccer team funded. I'm sure if people only knew I was pregnant, they would have thought I was insane for playing soccer and going to Haiti, a very dangerous and diseased country. But that's part of what makes my story so great. I learned that God gives you strength to do things you never thought you could do, even at your weakest times. After soccer ended, graduation, Haiti, and finally telling my dad and brother, I actually lived a relatively normal life. It was sad hearing all of my friends talk about preparing for college, but I just pretended as if I was too. It wasn't until the week before everyone went away that I decided to tell my best friend, and she has been a blessing and a half in my life. But as much as I wanted to pretend as if I was going to school, knew I wasn't. So the next difficult thing I had to face was telling my school and future college coach why I wasn't going to be there in the fall. It was one of the hardest phone calls I ever had to make, but immediately I was in tears of joy when Coach McCauley said, "Every baby is a miracle." He reassured me that if I wanted to come spring, my athletic scholarship wouldn't go anywhere, and it wouldn't be any less. In fact, every single one of my scholarships was kept. I had many private scholarships, including the Lynn Dobson Scholarship, and everyone we talked to said they didn't even have to know why I wasn't going to be there in the fall, that they would still uphold their promise. It just goes to show that people, family, friends, even strangers, are willing to help you every step of the way. God will always give you hope and support. After everyone finally left for college, I had time and space to think about how my life could possibly play out the rest of the year. My mom called Scott Moody at the OP soccer complex to see if I could come work out on the fields during the day since the high school fields were closing because of school. This is when I saw the real blessings pouring into my life. I worked out daily with my trainer Sean, whose mutual goal was to keep me in shape to go to college in the spring and play soccer once again. I started training in August and went every single weekday up to and including the day that I gave birth. They were the most challenging months of my life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but it changed me into the person I am today. I would do it all the same if I had to. The morning I went into labor, I was leg pressing 240 pounds when my water broke. I was in labor for 16 hours, and a beautiful baby boy named John Paul was born. I had already developed such love for him throughout the pregnancy, but when I finally saw him, held him, I knew this kind of love was different. It is the kind of love I imagine God has for his children, for us. I had originally planned for a closed adoption, but once again, God's grace unfolded and it became an open adoption. It was a miracle choosing the best family for John, and it's obvious because they are here today, supporting, encouraging, and loving me. Open adoption is a wonderful and beautiful thing, and I am so grateful to have John and his family in my life. I am confident in standing up here today and saying that I am proud of all the decisions that I made once I found out I was pregnant. Everything I did was out of selfless love for John and his family. In this story, life wins, and there is no room for sadness or regret. The gospel of Jesus defeating death is reaffirmed through my story, and I feel overwhelmingly blessed to have been trusted by God to do so. I hope you all can participate in the Walk for Life coming up. It is a wonderful way to demonstrate the power that we have to defend life. Thank you so much for listening to me today, and I hope you all have a wonderful and safe weekend at prom.